How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running its Planet of the Discount sale, and I am here to take a look at the best deals under the price of $10. We already did the deals under $5, but here we're going to look at under 10. This is still not going over everything, of course. There's so many games. I might do another under $10 video, so be on the lookout for that. But let's just get right into it, and let's kick things off with the Bayonetta and Vanquish 10th Anniversary Bundle. This bundle is absolutely awesome. For $9.99 to get both Bayonetta and Vanquish, I think is a fantastic pickup. I think most of you guys have played Bayonetta. Vanquish is the title that I imagine some of you guys missed out on back when it initially came out. Vanquish was an awesome game back in the day, but the issue was it was a $60 game that you could complete in legit 5 hours, and you know, when you're paying $5 a pop, it becomes a much more palatable purchase, to say the least. I think Vanquish is awesome. I can definitely understand why they didn't do a sequel for it, but I think it was a great title by Platinum, and Bayonetta obviously is fantastic as well. This bundle for $9.99, great pickup here. Next up, we have Alan Wake Remastered, 67% off for $9.89. Now, I loved Alan Wake 1, and as you guys might know, I'm not crazy about Alan Wake 2. I did not enjoy Alan Wake 2 as much as most other people. Most people had Alan Wake 2 in their mix for Game of the Year contenders. I certainly did not. I can understand why people liked it. There's a lot of elements of those games that I find are done really, really well, but not a game that I got super into for a wide variety of reasons. I plan on doing another playthrough of it at some point in the future, not now, but Alan Wake 1 I still think is awesome. It does show its age at this point, given that it's a decade old, or over a decade. It came out in 2010. Man, oh man, how the years have gone by. But Alan Wake Remastered, this version is pretty good, includes the DLC. Fairly short game, the DLC will extend it a little bit, but I think for $9.89, a good pickup here. Next up, we have God of War III Remastered, 50% off for $9.99. Now, this might get me under fire a little bit, but I am not crazy about the God of War games pre-God of War 2018. I played all of them, literally played them when they came out, played them on PSP, and I enjoyed the games, don't get me wrong, but I really saw them as more mindless action games. I wasn't invested into the narrative like that. I think God of War 2018, for me, changed my perception of the series and really elevated it to one of my favorite PlayStation IPs, and I think for most people, God of War is one of their favorite PlayStation IPs, but I think also for most people, it started with the original trilogy, not with 2018 like it did with me. Not to say I didn't like God of War 1 through 3, I think they're good games, it's just they weren't my style, they weren't my cup of tea, and I didn't get the entire hype around it. I am one person at the end of the day. Objectively, they're very well-made action titles, and you'll probably really enjoy God of War 3. Obviously, the older style God of War games are a bit on the shorter side comparatively to a 2018 and Ragnarok, but still very, very good. $9.99, great pickup here. Next up, we got Uncharted the Nathan Drake Collection, 50% off for $9.99. Recently started another playthrough of the entire trilogy of Uncharted. I've been wanting to do another playthrough of the Uncharted trilogy. Was kind of on the fence because Uncharted 1 certainly does show its age, and I didn't really want to replay that again. Going back and playing Uncharted 1 now, I'm literally in the middle of my playthrough as I'm recording this video, and again, I've completed all 3 games countless numbers of times, but not for a while have I gone back and played the trilogy. Going back and playing Uncharted 1, yeah, it absolutely shows its age. Some of the level design is very questionable, but bro, it's a 2007 game, that's to be expected. It's still a damn good game. Like, going back and playing it, maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia for me, but I'm playing it, I'm like, man, Uncharted 1 still kicks some ass. I ain't gonna lie, Uncharted 1 still kicks some ass. Obviously, Uncharted 2 is when this franchise really, really gets going and becomes what really, I feel like, elevated Naughty Dog was Uncharted 2. Naughty Dog was always known as a pretty good studio, but Uncharted 2 onwards, man, their consistent level of quality from U2 to U3 to U4, Last of Us obviously in the mix as well, was just outstanding, and Uncharted 2 was great. Uncharted 3 was really good as well. Maybe just as good as Uncharted 2. The thing is, Uncharted 2 back in 2009 had the benefit of us being like, holy crap, what just happened when you saw the leap from Uncharted 2 from Uncharted 1? And it just sucks, man. When I look at the Nathan Drake collection, it's like, Naughty Dog was pumping out games like this every 2 years. U1 in 2007, U2 2009, U3 2011. Last of Us in 2013. I would do anything to go back to those days. These games do not need to be as extravagant as they are, because I would put Uncharted 2 above Last of Us Part 2. I would put Uncharted 2 above Uncharted 4. And it's just like, man, even going back, I get the games look better visually. Visuals aren't everything, and when you're making 8-year development cycles, 6-year development cycles, I just don't think it's worth it. I would rather go back to the days, and maybe that's nostalgia speaking. The PlayStation 3 is the console I grew up with, and Uncharted is one of those franchises that I have a nostalgic attachment towards, but I long for these days, guys. I long for these days, but they can, at this point, be seen as a bygone era. We're living in the 7-year development cycle these days, and games of lesser quality, in my opinion. But what can I do? Next up, Dying Light: The Following Enhanced Edition, 70% off for $8.99. I think this is a great open-world action survival horror game. I've recommended this game ad nauseum. It's just a great title. Runs great on the PS5 as well. You got the additional content here. And for a game that's 9 years old at this point, it still holds up very, very nicely. And give Techland a shout for how consistent they were in updating this game, keeping the content fresh, and for, you know, doing all the work that they did for a predominantly single-player game. I get it, it has some multiplayer aspects, but most people were into Dying Light for the single-player, but they continued rolling out new content. $9 for this great pickup here. Next up, Deep Rock Galactic, 70% off for $8.99. If you want a co-op title, Deep Rock Galactic is a damn good one. It's not one that I got super into, but guys, I have some boys that are super into these games, and the replayability in Deep Rock is a great time. They also keep this game updated very, very consistently. Procedurally generated content that keeps it refreshing every time you go through it. I believe they are about to drop a new season, or they just dropped a new season as well. So if you can get a couple friends to pick it up, Deep Rock Galactic is certainly going to be a good time. Next up, we got Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, 85% off for $5.99. You got Kingdom Come Deliverance and all of the DLC. This is a really good buy. Maybe it has some clunky elements to it, but I think most of you guys will end up enjoying the game, especially if you can vibe with the historical aspects and the historical setting. Obviously, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 coming out this year. Shout out to Warhorse, one of those studios that announces a game and releases it shortly thereafter. Always like to see that. Warhorse gets a lot of credit from me for doing that. And the game has been in development for a while. They just didn't have to open their mouth about it for a while like so many other publishers and developers these days have to. We gotta announce the Star Wars Quantic Dream game. There's no way. We gotta announce it now, and you guys can check it out in 2029. But nevertheless, KCD is a good game, and if you're into open world action RPGs, you'll have a good time with it. Performance isn't amazing on PS4, what can you do? But the game itself is quite good. Next up, we got the Batman Arkham Collection, 90% off for $5.99. It's Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. I've recommended this ad nauseum. For the 4 of you guys that haven't played through this trilogy yet, do so. Again, this is from a bygone era. We got Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City 2 years apart from one another. Origins in between City and Knight. And I know the development cycle between City and Knight was a little bit longer. It was scheduled to be 3 years, moved on to 3.5 years. But guess what? I'll take 3.5 years over the 9 years it took to get Suicide Squad, and that game ending up being an absolute abomination. It's unfortunate. Rocksteady's just absolutely washed, but you can go back and check out a bygone era. Like, just think about it. 2009, we got Batman Arkham Asylum, Uncharted 2. 2011, we got Uncharted 3 and Batman Arkham City. Y'all ain't convincing me that gaming is better now. Y'all just not convincing me that that is the case. Yeah, these development cycles have gotten longer and the games have gotten, in my opinion, weaker. But, you know, I'll always go on a tangent about that whenever I talk about these older titles. Next up, we got Wolf Among Us, 60% off for $5.99. Awesome game from Telltale. In my opinion, Telltale's best outing alongside Walking Dead Season 1. Awesome main character. Great, more of a mature story. Not to say Walking Dead wasn't mature. I mean, Season 1 especially. And the entirety of Walking Dead is fairly mature. But Wolf Among Us, great main character, great character development, twists and turns throughout. Hopefully, Wolf Among Us Season 2 comes out before I call it for this lifetime, because I'm starting to lose faith in that game. Next up, we got Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX. Give these both a mention right now. Classic JRPGs. FF8 by many is considered to be a black sheep of the franchise, and to others, really, one of their favorites in the series. I thought Final Fantasy VIII was a pretty good game. Some of the mechanics weren't great, and I think the latter portion of the story is a little bit questionable, but for $8, I think FF8 is pretty good. I'm not as crazy about Final Fantasy IX as most people, but people put it on the level of FF7 or even better than 7. I don't personally agree with that, but bro, if you have that opinion, great, and you should go with the general consensus opinion of Final Fantasy IX being awesome and check it out. I think it's a pretty good game. I just don't revere it as one of the best JRPGs ever. There are rumblings about a remake or a remaster happening at some point, so do be on the lookout for that. GreedFall Standard Edition, 75% off for $8.74. Spiders is working on GreedFall 2: The Dying World. That's going to be in early access for a while and then see its full release sometime in 2025 on PlayStation. I thought GreedFall was a pretty well done RPG. It is certainly not at the level of some of the best RPGs that you're going to see on the market. It is very much a like AA RPG, so to speak, where you see a lot of AAA RPGs. Like, don't be trying to compare this game to your Horizons, to your Witchers. You're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you're okay with a more mid-level RPG, GreedFall will offer you some fun. And lastly, gotta give the Order 1886 a shout, baby. You guys know me. Gotta get my Order 1886 plug in there. Look, it's 50% off for $9.99. I wish this would go down to $4.99 because I think at $4.99 it would be a slam dunk home run pickup. I really enjoyed Order 1886. I think the characters, the world, those elements are so incredibly captivating. Obviously, as a third-person cover-based shooter, it is incredibly basic. It's not bad, it's just incredibly basic and does not reinvent the wheel. But that's not why you're playing Order 4. The gameplay just kind of gets you in between the set pieces. The visuals, even 9 years later, look incredible. This is one of the best looking video games, quite possibly of all time, and relative to when it came out, yeah, hands down. Like, this was the best looking game I think I ever saw for quite a while. It is just tremendous. And for, you know, how much of a corridor shooter it is and how linear it is, it's kind of to be expected. It is a super short game, but man, there is an IP here that could have been developed upon so much more. It'll never happen, and Order 1886, by the end of the game, you could really see that this was just a game to set the table for what it ultimately could have been. Unfortunately, critically, didn't do well. Commercially, didn't do well. It was a $60 game for a 5-hour experience. That's always going to have its problems, much like Vanquish. But, yeah, I had fun with it, and you're paying $9.99 now, and it's one of those games, quick weekend experience, and you'll be like, damn, that was a good game. A lot of people skipped out on it when it initially came out because of the reception, and rightfully so, don't get me wrong. I was a sucker and paid $60 for it, but, you know, now at $9.99, I think it's a pretty good buy, and you're going into it kind of with a different level of expectation. You know what to expect, so I think you'll ultimately have a pretty good experience out of it. But that is going to do it for me. Again, a lot of great PlayStation game deals under the price of $10. Links to all of these, as always, in the description box below. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.